Welcome, everybody. The wonderful group of Class B VISTAs. I'm so excited to have you guys here. Again, this is our week 4 virtual meetup, and it is our final meetup for the Blend PSO course that you all have been taking. So this is kind of our last hurrah as a group, and I'm really glad to have you all here today. I want to do a quick roll call of who I see on the web meetup. And if some of you all are sharing a computer so that I only see one name, just go ahead and send me a note in the chat. Just send a personal note to me and let me know who the other people are in the space next to you so I know and can count them as present. So I see Alexander, Angelica, Anushka, Bailey, Dakota, Emily, Hannah, Jason, Jill, Joanna. Oh, and then the screen started going crazy. I don't even know where our list finished. Joanna, Juanita, Julianne, Kayla, Lindy, Marcus, Margaret, and Sarah. Is there anybody that I missed? You can indicate by typing a note in the chat box or shouting out loud right now. Let me just check off a few names I didn't have checked off. All right, so it looks like I've got everyone here. Let's start with a few logistics before we get started with the meat of our time. Just kind of like the last meetup we have and any other web meeting you have, just a few logistical pieces of information. If you can, make sure that your phone is on mute, and you can do that either by hitting the mute button that you may have on your phone. If you don't have a mute button, you can hit *6, and then just make sure if you want to verbally say something that you press *6 again to unmute your phone. If we hear a lot of background noise, I may hit the mute function for all, but I like to kind of keep that open so we can hear voices throughout. So again, if you are not muted, make sure you hit the mute button or *6 on your phone, and that will mute you. We heard some lovely typing earlier. Someone is a fast typer, which means you're going to get things done this year. I'm super excited about that. Also, if you can make sure that participate fully in this web meetup. This is our last chance to be together, so feel free to raise your hand using the raise your hand icon that's by your name, or you can also send a note in the chat box and let us know what you're thinking, responses to questions. If you're sending a chat, make sure to send to everyone, and throughout I may ask a few questions here and there that I ask you all to respond to, so really appreciate that. And I think that is about it. Again, just as a reminder, if you all are sharing a computer with anybody in your office, I only see your name. So if you are sharing a computer, let me know who's with you, and I can make sure I count them as present. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. Past logistics of things. You made it. Congratulations, everybody. You are officially in week 4, the last week of the PSO blend. And I really want to acknowledge all the hard work you all have been doing over these last 4 weeks. I find that you all are going through an amazing amount of new experiences. Not only are you starting a new year at a VISTA site where you're placed, some of you are starting in a new community because you've moved there from another location. You're learning all about your new assignments and probably just hitting the ground running. And on top of that, you're having to take this blend pre-service orientation 4 weeks, which has a lot of requirements. You've got to complete a lot of assignments, participate in 2 webinars, and participate in the 2 meetups. So I really want to acknowledge all that you've done. And I know it can be a stressful time for you all, but I appreciate all that you've done in getting it all done, but not only getting it just done, you've also been participating fully. And I appreciate all the conversations and contributions you all have provided in the blend course, and I really want to make sure I acknowledge that, because you have done an excellent job. With that said, let's talk about a few final things I want to make sure that you are aware of. One, this is the final week. There's no more assignments that are due after the last ones you just turned in on Sunday, which were the 13 lessons on poverty and the community profile worksheets. If you have not gotten any assignments turned in, it's not too late. You still have until Thursday to get those into me so I can get them graded and counted as completed. I'll be sending an email to anyone who has remaining assignments left in the next 24 hours, probably tonight, but I'm going to give myself another day just in case. And so you'll know what you have left. If you don't know and you want to send me an email, feel free to shoot me an email and I can let you know what I've recorded. It's going to take me a couple of days to completely grade the 2 assignments you just turned in. So just have some patience with that, because the great thing about it is once you've done everything, you've turned it in and it's been graded as completed, and you participated in the meetup, you also get to download your certificate of completion. And if you, when you log into the Blend course, if you scroll down that screen and you go to the bottom, you should see a certificate of completion link pop up if you have completed all the assignments successfully, and it may not show up until I've graded it, so just give me a couple of days to do that. But if you have any questions about that, let me know. I want to make sure you all are able to access that. And then, you know, finally, and I'll probably mention this a few times, all of these logistics I'm talking about now, but you all will be able to also access the Blend course for several weeks after. I think it's about 6 weeks. So if you want to reference anything that was posted or pull something up that you did and you'd like to go back in, you do have access. It won't be monitored, so there won't be anybody watching if things are sent, but you do have access to that information if you want to come back in for any reason. And if you have questions, feel free to shoot them in the chat window too, but we'll definitely take time for questions at the end. So also, I've kind of mentioned this before, but I really want to acknowledge what a great job you all have done in not only completing the assignments, but dialoguing with one another through the different assignments that you've had to complete. You all have done an excellent job of contributing to people's posts, whether it was the minute messages or the 7 things about me or this recent one around the poverty lessons. You all had some great contributions. I've had the opportunity to read through everyone that has submitted so far, and I love that you all are contributing to one another's posts and having a dialogue about this, because this is really kind of the crux of what you all are doing. And some of you acknowledge that either you've experienced poverty directly or you've had no experience with poverty and you just know what you've learned in school. This is where it starts. And if we can begin to have conversation and look at the different lens in which we can define poverty, we can start having a greater dialogue about it and maybe coming to some better solutions. And you all talked about a lot of really important pieces of the poverty picture, whether it was talking about children or health or people with disabilities or seniors, about the mass prison system that we have, or geography and history that matters so much. And also had some interesting dialogues around money and whether or not that's the solution. So again, I really appreciate it, and I hope this little collage of your posts is a great representation of the work. And if you haven't had a chance yet to do so, and you haven't read the posts of your fellow classmates, I encourage you to do so, because again, there's some really thoughtful discussion going on there. And I got a lot out of it, as I always do, but I hope you did also. I really would like to just hear from you all briefly about what stood out most for you. So if you could take the time, this is kind of our first opportunity to dialogue with each other, and post in the chat window, and again, make sure it goes to everyone. What stood out most for you in terms of the 13 lessons of poverty, whether it was what you watched in the video by Stephen Compare or the dialogue that you all had or the readings that you did of other VISTAs? So what stood out for you most about what everyone submitted and contributed? So we'll just take some time to hear from everybody. So again, just chat your response. post your responses in the chat window, sorry. I'll take a couple of minutes to do that. Thanks, Margaret. Yeah, the money and poverty piece. And I know there was some dialogue about that, and I think you contributed some pieces about that, that while money may be one of the pieces that can help resolve poverty, there's some other things that are definitely also need to be addressed, more systems-oriented, inequity-oriented. Margaret? Yeah. It really is interesting, but I think Kayla, yes, small font, hard to read. Kayla is talking about how it was interesting is the different lessons that people connected to. Some of it was probably very personal. Some of it was based on what you were doing in this year or your experiences. Yeah. So for some of you, this was a real learning experience, and I encourage each of you to not end here. There's a lot of great resources around the poverty piece of what you all are doing in the VISTA campus. I encourage you all to dig deeper. Maybe some of you know some great resources you can share that you can type up in the chat window. There's a lot of great information about there. So I hope this just begins your learning time. And Jason, I agree wholeheartedly. This is a very thoughtful group of people. You are, the last couple of groups I've had have been probably the most diverse group of people that I've had in a while. So it's been really great to see the different experiences that you all bring to this and the different contributions you had. Yeah. I'm just taking in all that y'all are writing. Yeah, a lot of y'all talked about the working poor, that hard work isn't always enough. Yeah. And the connection of the lessons, yeah, Jillian, and I think that's something that a lot of you all talked about, that there's not one way to look at poverty for sure. And all of the things that you all talked about are very connected, and in order to address poverty, we can't look at it from one lens. We have to look at it from the various resources that people need to be successful in life. Yeah. Great. Great. Yeah, and some of you, Sarah, you were talking about the little 2-minute video, not the little, the 2-minute video you all watched about how poverty is measured. Again, I think there's so much to explore as it relates to poverty, not only looking at how poverty is measured in the video that Stephen Pompere did, the 13 lessons, but looking at how poverty is defined, what it looks like, and you all did a lot of great work in the community profile worksheets that you all submitted. Some amazing observations you all made, some interesting learnings you had in your community, and also some interesting dialogue it sounded like you had with your supervisor as a result. So I'm glad you all are digging deeper. And as you can see, poverty is a very complex issue that has been around, like I think it was Alexander who said, has been around for many decades and seems to become more complex and entrenched as the time goes on. So the complexity gets even more so as we're looking at present-day poverty. So digging deeper is very important because it's important that you really understand the community in which you're working and the poverty that your community faces and what might impact that. Thanks for all your sharing. You all, and you acknowledge it in your contributions. You all are great. You are very, again, a very diverse group with a lot of diverse understandings and learnings, and I appreciate the contribution. Great. Again, if you have not had the chance to read your peers' post, please do so, because I think you will get a lot out of it. I think you can tell just by the visuals alone the great contributions that people provided. All right, so thanks for sharing. We're going to talk a little bit, just spend some time talking about what you can anticipate in your year. And as you look at this, this is often referred to as the cycle of service or the stages of development. As you look at this particular image, what do you think this says about your year? So just take a moment to look at the image you're seeing here. Not a lot of words or things to give you some guidance on, but just looking at the words, the visual, the graph, what do you think it says about the year that you're already embarking on and about to continue for the next, I guess, 11 months now? So take a moment and also share in the chat window. We'll just take, again, a few more minutes. Great contribution. Some of you are saying that maybe you might not be in the settling in phase anymore and you're past the learning the ropes. Some of you may be forced to go that way because they're just throwing everything at you at once. Yeah, and some of you talked about you may not feel like you're doing much until later on in your service. Definitely. You may not feel that way, even towards the very end. A lot of potential and room for growth, definitely. I hope I reach, you will reach, all of you will get to the performing at your best. Yeah. Definitely, it's a process that's not static and also not the same for each of you. Talk about that in a moment. Interesting contribution, Hannah. So Hannah was talking about how she's learning the ropes, but so is everyone else at her site because they're a very new startup. So that can impact what you experience greatly. Yeah. Yeah, and some of you are acknowledging that there's a lot of stuff that you're going through outside of your service, and that also can have a great impact. I appreciate that for recognizing that. Yeah, thanks for, again, you guys rock. Thanks for your contributions. Let's talk a little bit about this, because as I think you all know, if you read my 7 things and introductions that I gave, I, too, was an AmeriCorps member. I served actually on the AmeriCorps state program side doing direct service. But I've been through the same experience that you're about to go through. So I can share very personally that each of you, like I did, will go through this cycle. Now, it may not, like some of you all alluded to, it may not be that you start in the same place or you experience these things in exactly this order, but you all will go through these phases in some form or fashion. So let's talk just briefly about it. Most of you all are in the settling in phase, although you probably don't feel like you've had much time to settle in because you've just been probably given assignments and told to just hit the ground running. But you're settling in. Settling in is a time of often of excitement. You're super excited to begin at your site, but you're probably super excited to be a part of this AmeriCorps VISTA family, which is a great family across the country that not only includes people that are serving currently, but people who have served before you, along thousands of them that are throughout the world. So you're probably excited about both of those things. You're probably a little nervous, and you probably were nervous about this blend course too, because we're asking you to do a lot of new things online in addition to doing a lot of new things at your site. But you're anxious and you're ready to get going, and that's very common. Now, for some of you, the settling in phase may last a couple of months, and some of you may have lasted a couple of days, and then you were zooming past it. Regardless, there is a phase that kind of comes next about learning the ropes, and that's where you're really starting to ask more questions. You're having increased dialogue with your supervisor. You're maybe not just taking it all in, you're also responding to that taking in and asking questions of others. You may be attempting to take the lead in more things as you navigate your increased understanding. And also, this is the time where you may start to encounter some disappointment, or you just encounter things that you didn't expect. And it's by using the skills, and I actually like to say that you all, the skills that you've been using in this blend course are the same skills that you all will benefit from using in your VISTA year. I mean, you all persevered, you got things done, you were organized in getting, your assignments done and attending the meetup, and you were very supportive of your community. So by doing those kinds of things and using the tools that you all have already within yourself, you can get through those challenging times. And then there's a point where you start to cautiously contribute. Once you've started to settle in and learn the ropes, you're starting to really take greater risk and ask greater, more deep questions that will help you to really move the assignments in your VISTA assignment description forward. And, then at some point, you're really starting to just get things done, and you're performing at a really high level. And, for some of you, this may start earlier. For some of you, this may start later. And you may be like almost at the end of the year, and you're just starting to feel like you get the hang of it. And that's when some VISTAs decide that they're going to sign up for a second year. And so they, because they want to see things through in a more meaningful way. And, that is an individual choice that you all can make. But, these things, I just want you to understand that all of you all, what you are doing, no matter where you are, what your focus is, who your supervisor is, who your organization is, no matter if they're a startup or they've been around since the beginning of time, you all will all go through this in some form or fashion. You're not alone. And I hope you all use the resources of one another, particularly the resources of the larger VISTA group beyond this blend course as you navigate your year. And I'll talk more about that towards the end. I also want to point out that the piece about transferring capacity. So while I think all of you all did a great job as you were completing your VAD assignments and your on-site orientation training, it seems like you really got the capacity piece, but I do want to make sure I emphasize that one yet time. This is my last chance with you all, so make sure that throughout your year, you're constantly asking the question about how can I ensure that I build the capacity of my organization and my community to continue the work that I started in my year. How can you ensure you transfer the knowledge that you've gained, the skills that you've developed, the systems and the tools that you've created, and the relationships that you've built so that whoever follows you, whether it's another VISTA or staff of the organization or community members, that they can continue the work when you leave. And some of you have acknowledged that the VISTAs before you did an excellent job of doing that, and you really know how to build upon what they did before. And some of you said the VISTAs didn't leave anything. So, you've had these different experiences, and you now know this is really important to the sustainability of the project. And this is really at the crux of what this is about, to ensure that we help build the capacity of the organizations and communities so they can continue the work, because they're the ones that are in the trenches year after year and staying and doing the hard work that they do in communities. So again, I want to acknowledge that all of you all will go through this, and hopefully, and I'll talk about this again at the end, but that And I think this is really important to remember that, as one of the VISTAs told me several years ago, it's not all roses and butterflies, but if you can really approach this year as you learn not only from your great experiences, but also your hardest lessons. And this year is hard. This year can be long and draining, especially if you have a lot going on outside of your service site. But I think you can find that if you stick with it, it will be the greatest year of your life, and that you all can learn, again, not only from those great experiences, but also from your greatest challenges. I find that that is when my greatest learning has happened, and I hope that will be the case for you all. Right. And I appreciate it. Some visitors have noticed that not everybody has their phone muted, so if you can, mute your phone, hit the mute button, or press *6 to mute it, do some background noise. If it gets too bothersome, I'll mute everybody. All right, so I did allude to this just a moment ago, and really want to reinforce that you all stay connected with your larger group of VISTAs. You all have done a great job of starting connection here with this blend group, and I hope you all find a way to stay connected, share contact information, figure out a way so that you can continue to learn from each other in this year. But you also have a larger world of VISTAs across the country that you have the ability to connect with. So I want to talk a little bit about that. In my email that I sent out last night, that hopefully you received this morning, that you weren't staying up late like I was, it talked about some of those ways that you can stay a part of the larger VISTA world. And a lot of that, well, all of it can really happen on VISTA campus. So you all are in the blend course, but you also have the larger campus world where you can be a part. And I'm actually going to take you there real quickly. So hopefully this will work. I'm going to share my screen momentarily. And I'm showing you VISTA campus. I hope you're seeing this. Let me know if you're not. This is the VISTA campus. You all have all been here, but I just want to make sure you do know about some of the connection opportunities that you all have the ability to access. So when you go to VISTA campus, if you hover over the Connect and Learn link, so you see there's these menu bar options at the top, and I do actually want to put a plug in real quick before I go any further about the work section. I mentioned to a lot of you all as I read your VAD assignments that there are some great resources here around the different areas, but I also do want to point out the work and other about poverty in America. There's some great resources there that you have access to. I hope you will. So here's how poverty is measured in the U.S. if you want to share that video with others. There's the 13 lessons about poverty if you want to let other people see it, and there's a lot of great resources about poverty that you can look up. So I'm just, scrolling down and just check it out. All right, so I digress. So let me just show you really quickly the Connect and Learn pieces. So under the Connect and Learn, I want to point out first the VISTA map. If you haven't done so already, I hope you all will come to the VISTA map and you will place yourself on that map. By doing that, you can see where other VISTAs and alums are throughout the country and actually throughout the world, as you can see. And it'll give you a great opportunity to not only see where other people are serving in this course, but also where people are serving throughout their year. And it may be that you find a nice little group of VISTAs in your area that you can connect with regularly. Sometimes I find that that's your greatest resource is your other fellow AmeriCorps VISTA members serving in your area. Also on the Connect and Learn, you have the forums. So I just want to point that out, that there are several different forums that you can participate in. I'm going to the VISTA forums right now. Not only can you participate from this point forward, but you can also look at past discussions. There's a great one on recipes, housing, and the dollar store that I actually love. I've learned a lot from. There's a forum on your first 30 days and beyond. There's a forum for VISTA alums. So there's a lot of great little discussions that can happen. And if you all want to post a discussion and ask a question of other VISTAs, this is a place where you can do it. And then also in the Connect and Learn, I'm not going to take you there, but I do want to point out that you have regular opportunities to participate in online learning. You can attend any of the webinars that they offer, and you should be getting emails about that, but that's this link here. And then I also do want to point out a great resource for it's called the VISTA Blend. It's different from the course you've been in right now. But throughout the year, they offer a couple of different opportunities for VISTAs to take a college-level course online. And typically one is around volunteer management and the other is around resource development. Not always, but that typically is the topic, and you can find that information here. You can sign up for an email notification. I'm looking down at the bottom right-hand side of the screen. So there's a lot of great opportunities for you not only to participate with a larger group of VISTAs, but also to continue your learning and development alongside with other VISTAs. So I hope you check it out and get an opportunity to learn more. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and come back. All right. So we've got a few views of that, and just take you to our final notes before we wrap up this meetup. I'd like to just take a moment before I wrap up a few final thoughts to get your biggest takeaway from this blend opportunity. So as you started in your first 4 weeks at your site, or as you've navigated the first 4 weeks of the PSO blend, what has been your biggest takeaway from this experience? And you can use the annotation tools. On the left-hand side of your screen, you should see some tools. It starts with a pencil. There's some text tools where you see letters. So you can hit the text tool that has the big A and the little a and put it on the screen somewhere and start typing your biggest takeaway. So everyone can take a moment to just do that. And if you're struggling with the annotation tools, just feel free to put it in the chat window also. So we'll just take a couple of minutes. Your biggest takeaway from your first 4 weeks of service or in this orientation. Again, using the annotation tools, clicking the big A, little a, and then placing it somewhere on the screen and typing your thoughts or putting it in the chat window. Make me laugh right from the start. All right. There's some actually, there's a great resource on grant writing in the VISTA campus that I hope you check out. Great. Thanks for your contributions. We're still waiting for a few people to make their mark. Great. There are a lot of great resources. There are a lot of great resources that are available to you all, and I hope you take the opportunity to explore them. Great. You want to know how to do something, always ask questions. Oh, you don't have to erase that. Just kidding. Asking questions is one of your greatest tools. Please never hesitate to ask. Yeah. Oh, and I hope all of you all stay connected with each other, that you form some groups. A lot of you are doing similar things, and I know you would learn a lot from each other. All right. With that said, we'll end the meeting. Taking it all in. You all, and a couple of you have talked about this, you are now a part of a huge family of AmeriCorps VISTAs, and I would not just say AmeriCorps VISTAs, you're a part of the National Service family now, which if you're not aware of, consists of many different programs where people are contributing a year of service. The AmeriCorps VISTA, NCCC, state and national, Senior Corps, we have foster grandparents, senior companions, and RSVP, where individuals that are of senior age are committing years of service to their communities. So you are part of a great world. And so not only this year, but beyond, you're forever a part, and hope you find ways to stay involved. Yeah, a lot of support. And if you all happen, I hope you take some time to join AmeriCorps alums. So you don't have to be an alum to join. You can go Google AmeriCorps alums, and you will find that you can join and learn a lot more about the community and stay abreast of different things that they do too. They provide a lot of resources around employment, around resume building, and much, much more. Great. It sounds like all of you are super excited. I'm glad. Y'all are sweet. Great group. Great. And some of you are networking with communities beyond AmeriCorps. There's the refugee community that you're in, or the military communities, yeah, or the library communities. Many different groups here. Y'all are great. Awesome. Well, we are coming to the end of this meetup. Just a couple more things before we wrap it up, and I wait for some of you all to do your final notes on this page. I don't want to leave until everyone's had an opportunity. I do want to remind you, let me just look at my notes to make sure I don't forget anything, that if you haven't done your assignment yet, you all still have the opportunity to do so. I'll let you know what you have left probably in the next day, and you all have till about well, not till about, you have until Thursday to turn those final assignments in so that we can make sure you're counted and can get your certificate of completion. Again, once you've done all your assignments and I've graded them, you can log into the Blend course, scroll down to the bottom of the page, and you'll see a link for your certificate of completion. If you're having trouble finding that, let me know, and I'd be happy to help you get that, access that, because that would be a great thing to print up for yourself. Because as someone said, 4 weeks to be oriented isn't so bad, but I know it was a lot of work. So you all should generate that certificate of completion that says you have done it, because you all do roll. And some of you all may have already been able to access it because you all have turned in everything, and if I've graded everything, which I've done some of them, then you all should see that link up here. But again, just wait. It might be a couple of days because I have to check it all out. Okay. Just one final note, and I'm going to go to the next page. Hate to get this off the screen, but just to say aloha, which means thank you, goodbye, and good luck. I was at an AmeriCorps ceremony, graduation ceremony a couple of weeks ago, and one of the members sang the Aloha song, and it was beautiful, and I always think of it when I see this screen. I do want to leave you all with just a final thought. One of my favorite phrases that comes from a song is actually, don't forget why you came to the dance. If anyone can guess who sang it, you get some points. But the phrase of the song is, don't forget why you came to this dance. And I hope that you all remember that in your year, because each of you came to this year of service for a different reason. It may be because you were very committed to the community that you're in. Maybe it was the particular focus of your service. Maybe it was some personal and professional development you wanted to do. You weren't sure what your next steps were, so you saw VISTA as an opportunity to explore that. Whatever your reason is, I hope you hold on to that because, again, your experiences will be varied, and they may be full of just some amazing, great times, and they also maybe have also incorporated into that some challenging times. So I hope you all remember why you came to the dance so that you focus on the long term, that you will make it through this year, you'll stick to it in the good times and bad, and you'll really make sure that for yourself and for your community and your organization that you stay for the 12 months. That's the greatest gift you can give to yourself and to others, is to stick through it and make it through the end of your year, because I promise you the rewards will be great. So don't forget why you came to the dance. And again, I want to say what a great group of people you all have been. You've been an amazing and wonderful group that has been so supportive of each other, and I appreciate the time you took to really participate fully in this course and not just get the assignments done. If you all have any questions, I'm going to stay on the line and answer them as they come, and I'll stay on as long as you all need to ask the questions. Otherwise, you all are free to go, and no one gets the answer. It's Michael Franti. So Michael Franti, don't forget why you came to the dance. Look it up. It's a great song. So I will stay on the line and answer questions that you all have. I see that Anushka asked a question if there's an event this year where you get to meet each other in person. You know, it doesn't necessarily happen, but you never know. You all could coordinate something together. Or also find out what the National Days of Service events are going on in your community, and maybe you can meet up with some fellow VISTAs or other AmeriCorps members or Senior Corps participants, like Martin Luther King Senior Day, Make a Difference Day. There are all kinds of days throughout the year where people come together for service. Great. Thanks, everybody. Again, you can hang up if you don't have any questions. If you do, I'm here, and I'm happy to answer them. Kayla, you're on the phone. I hope you can hear me. So, Kayla, I see your question about the grant writing class. I'm just double-checking to see if you're there. Yeah. I don't know when it's going to be. Actually, I can look. Let's share my screen, and let's go look real quick and see what they say about it. I don't know if this one is coming up. Fall course application. Let's see if we can pull it up here. Apply for the September 12th to November 20th is when the course is going to be. So you can apply. It's an application process, Kayla. So all you need to do is fill out the application, make sure it's okay with your supervisor to participate. It requires, you know, participating in a course and completing some assignments, kind of similar to what you did here. And it looks like the application period is August 15th to September 4th, though it hasn't opened up yet. Go back. Great. Thanks for the question, Kayla. All right, with that said, I think I'm going to end the call because it looks like almost everyone's off. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of the week.